Welcome to our Wednesday Q&A session. Every Wednesday we are hosting this event to help our audience to clarify some of the questions they have, especially with regard to Buddhism. Starting with the session, I would like to conduct a short guided meditation for you to bring some inner peace to yourself. Let us do it together and then we will start our program. Settle on your seats and sit comfortably. Keep your right palm on the left palm and connect your two thumbs gently. Place them on your lap and straighten your back and your head. Relax your shoulders. Gently and compassionately close your eyes. Relax your eyebrows. Now take a good long deep breath and hold it for a few seconds. Breathe in through the nostril and then release and relax. One more time, take a good long deep breath through the nostril and hold it for a few seconds. And release and relax. One more time, take a good long deep breath, this time a little shorter one. And release and relax. Now focus on your incoming and outgoing breaths. Start counting your breath from 1 to 5. Breathing in 1, breathing out 2. Breathing in 3, breathing out 4. Breathing in 5. Start over 1 to 6. And then again 1 to 7. And 1 to 8. 1 to 9. And 1 to 10. Let us practice this for a short while. Okay, now gently and compassionately open your eyes with a more positive energy, wholesome energy, kindness and compassion towards yourself and towards everyone else. Okay. So in our day-to-day life, it will be very helpful if we discuss our questions, especially how to apply this wonderful Buddhist teaching to our day-to-day life. Ups and downs can happen to any of us in our day-to-day life. So how to do that? That will be the question that we need to ask. So I do have a question already. Early Buddhism and Theravāda Buddhism, are they considered the same? If not, can you explain more about the differences between the two? When it comes to Buddhism, we know during the Buddha's time, it was totally focused and it was easier for the Buddha to answer many questions. So there were situations in the Buddha's time and he could manage easily. First, for example, the first 20 years or so, the sasana was very pure. All the monks who joined the sasana had complete focus and attention to get rid of this sansara. And therefore, all the monks were very good. But later on, we noticed that there were some monks, people who joined from different with different perspectives, different intention, not really wanting to get rid of this sansara. And so the Buddha had to start imposing or instructing or establishing some bylaws. It's an important fact actually. So when those things happen, some of the monks broke the Vinaya, and it was called Vinaya, the code of conduct. So the code of conduct was established by the Buddha depending on, it was case by case. At the beginning, he was just, it is said like all the monks didn't have to follow any specific code of conduct. They were all following the Buddha Dhamma and they were practicing very simple. But later, due to many complications, logistical complications and other things, maybe lack of training or something, lack of access to a proper teacher, then the sasana needed to be established with some vinaya or code of conduct. So case by case, whenever someone breaks something, a rule, something, a disciplinary code, when it is needed, the Buddha imposed them one by one. And accordingly, it went on all the way up to 227 for the monks and 311 for the nuns. For the bhikkhunis, it was more challenging, especially living a life of an ascetic is always very tough for the females. So they had to be protected. Therefore, there were more rules for them. Otherwise, there is no discrimination. Like it's not a matter of discrimination, but it is for the safety of the women that there were many more rules than the bhikkhus. And after the Buddha passing away, there were monks who came to the front, and they would say, like, at the very moment of the Buddha's passing away, it is said one monk came up and he said, Sumutta mayang mahasamanen. We were relieved from this great samana or ascetic or monk, and now we can live our own way. So we can see some signs of exploding, some signs of reaching of the Vinaya. There were some monks, and so the monks had to gather together, and Venerable Ananda and Venerable Venerable Mahakassapa was actually the senior most monk that time, And so he decided to summon an assembly, and therefore he, along with some others, senior most monks like Venerable Ananda, the personal attendant of the Buddha, and Venerable Ananda also had a lot of Dhamma knowledge. He was like the treasurer of the Dhamma those days. And then Venerable Anuruddha, he was the foremost among divine eyes. And then Venerable Venerable Sariputta's disciples were there. Venerable Sariputta by now already passed away. Venerable Sariputta's disciples were also there, and Venerable Moggallana also passed away. So some of those senior monks decided to summon an assembly. So 500 arahants were summoned, and it is said just before the assembly, Venerable Ananda became an arahant because they wanted only arahant monks, enlightened monks for the assembly. We need to remember that Venerable Ananda was Sotapanna by that time, during the lifetime of the Buddha. And Venerable Ananda could not become Arahanta before that. So it was after the passing away of the Buddha only he started practicing with more. He had a lot of commitments to take care of the Buddha as the personal attendant. Very committed job. He had a huge portfolio to take care of, so he could not actually attain Arahanthood, it is said. So he became Arahanta just before the first assembly, 3 months after the Buddha's passing away. At the Saptapanni cave, there was a great assembly of 500 Arahanta monks, and then they decided to take care of this issue. And so it happened. Venerable Mahakassapa decided, along with the other assembly monks, they decided we should not change any Vinaya rule. Although Buddha, just before the passing away, the Buddha said you can change some of those minor precepts depending on the circumstances. Venerable Mahakassapa decided if we don't know exactly what rules are to be changed, then we better keep them all just like that. And because if we keep changing, there will be no ending. And he was very, very correct, and he was very far-sighted monk. And so all the monks agreed not to change any rule. So they decided to have Sutta Vinaya, Dhamma Vinaya or Sutta Vinaya. So Vinaya or the disciplinary code of the Buddha Sasana was assigned to the Venerable Upali and his disciples. They were assigned to take care of the Vinaya rules or the whole Vinaya Pitaka. And then Sutta Pitaka was divided into 5. Venerable Ananda was assigned, along with his disciples, to take care of the Digha Nikaya, long discourses. And Venerable Sariputta's disciples were assigned to take care of the Majjhima Nikaya, middle and sayings. Venerable Mahakassapa and his disciples were assigned to take care of the Sangyutta Nikaya and that component. And then Venerable Anuruddha and his disciples were assigned to take care of the Anguttara Nikaya. And all the other monks were assigned to take care of the Khuddaka Nikaya. By now, there was no Abhidhamma Pitaka as such. So some of those Abhidhamma Matikas already were included in this Dhamma Vinaya or Sutta and Vinaya Pitakas. So still, after that was really a great initiative by those responsible monks. leaders of the sasana. They needed, they actually took the right decision by summoning this assembly. And that really made things very easy. And also all the monks who had original access to the Buddha, remember that. They already had listened to the Buddha originally. They have seen the Buddha personally, in person. So it was much easier for them to share their knowledge and share their experiences. And then 500 those Arahanta monks decided, this is the Vinaya, this is the Sutta. And after that, after some time, still there were some people who probably, whenever those things happen, not everyone can actually agree. Still there could be still people who don't agree. And then also due to logistical reasons, weather, and many other situations, the robe had to be changed, and then many other things changed. By the time of the second Buddhist Council, we see some dasavattuka miccha dishtis, like the wrong views. 10 kinds of wrong views were there. Those were actually, if we consider today, they looks like very simple things. But still, those monks at that time, they considered it's very serious, offensive, and then they summoned an assembly. 100 years after the Buddha's passing away, there was a second Buddhist council. And they decided to take care of the sasana. And they chanted, they verified the sasana, the law. And by the third Buddhist council, that is during the Emperor Ashoka's time, there were even more people who were actually supporting the other side of the early Buddhist teaching. So there were people there were monks who really were changing a lot of things. And so the early Buddhist school was different from the later offshoots. And there were many offshoots during that time. So it is said, according to the Chulavagga, 3 months after the Parinibbana, we had the first assembly, and all these things are there. And then the divergence between the Theravāda and the Mahasangika happened. So the expansion of this oral transmission, we also need to remember that there were no books those days. So all the monks had to learn the Dhamma by heart. So they were called Bhanakas. And so they were orally saving the Buddha Dhamma. All those monks, Venerable Ananda was able to remember most of actually the suttas. And Venerable Upali was able to remember all the Vinaya. And all the other monks also were able to remember. So they were called Bhanakas. And until first century first century or second century, I think it was taken the book shape. It was written in the books in Sri Lanka for the first time. And until then, it was all a matter of oral transmission. And so there were a lot of divisions. Only two ancient sources, Deepavansa, for example, and also Mahavansa, some chronicles of Sri Lanka, they report this thing. And also in the Vinaya Pitaka, we also have these stories explained. By the time Venerable King Ashoka was there, the third Buddhist council took place, and then the Abhidhamma Pitaka, complete Abhidhamma Pitaka was taken shape. and Venerable Moggali Puttatissa was the leader of that assembly. And that time the whole Tripitaka was complete, it is said. And so the after this we have different kinds of Theravāda, Sarvastivāda, Abhidhammika, and so many different types of groups, schism or sects of Buddhism were there. And it really could be very possible because of the expansion of the Buddha Dhamma into far remote areas, and it was difficult for all the monks to get together and discuss, and then the weather situations and logistics and due to many other situations, there were some minor adjustments, differences. So somehow Sarvastivada, Dharmaguptika, Sammitiya, all those different types of schools came into being that time. So accordingly, during the first millennia, during the first 1,000 years, there were 18 Buddhist schools. Venerable Bhikkhu Fa Hien and also Huan Sang, they also explain about these things. They have written some accounts during their travels, so they explain these things in their records to verify there were some differences, some schools, different schools. That's how it happened. So Staviravada, for example, Stavira is the Pali, Sanskrit word, Theravāda is the Pali word. So under this there were Puggalavada, and then by 280 BCE there were something called Puggalavada, personalist, and then Vatsiputri or Vajjiputta was there during the King Ashoka's time, Sammitiya, and then Dhammausa, Bhadrayana, and Sannagarikas. There are many, Vibhajyavada and Theravāda also. Theravāda was there by 240 BCE. And then Kāśyapiya, Mahisasaka, Dhammaguttika, and then Sarvastivada, Kāśyapiya, again, Mahisasaka, Dhammaguttika, Sautrantika, then Mula Sarvastikavada, and Vaibhashika. These are some of those schools under Theravāda. And then under Mahasangika, there were Mahasangika also, and Eka Vyavaharikas. And then Lokottaravada, then Gokulika, and then Bahusrutiya, and Prajnaptivada, and Chaitika. So these are some of those sects, schools of Buddhism that was happening during that time. So I think that is quite a lot of information. We still need to know that the early Buddhism or Staviravada or Theravada is not necessarily the same, but it is more or less the same. We can say it is more closer to than Theravada is more closer to the early Buddhism than any other existing schools of Buddhism. That is the thing. Okay. All right. So we see now in southern India or southern school. Somebody call it southern school. Some people call southern school and northern school. Some say Mahayana and Theravada. Some say Theravada and Hinayana and Mahayana. All these denominations have been given. Sometimes people didn't really like to be called like Hinayana. Hinayana is like lesser vehicle. Mahayana is like the greater vehicle. So it was like kind of insulting. And so some of the some of the scholars called it like um, Theravāda and Mahayana, and also Southern School and Northern School. Those denominations were there. But what is more important for us to know, like in India, we have Theravāda, we have Mahayana, and also like later Vajrayana was also part of the Mahayana. Like most of the Tibetan monks, they are called Vajrayana. So currently we usually call Theravada Mahayana, and Mahayana or Hinayana or Theravada or Mahayana. And then we also have now another offshoot like Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. And then in India, we do have Theravada monks, we do have Vajrayana monks. And then in most of the South Asian countries like Sri Lanka, and then Bangladesh, and then Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, even in Vietnam, we have this Theravada Buddhism. Right now, Theravada Buddhism also has expanded to other territories like Malaysia, Vietnam, and then Indonesia. In Indonesia also we have more Mahayana monks, yes, but now we also have Theravada monks in Indonesia, and Malaysia and Singapore also we do have. Right now in mainland China, basically the Mahayana headquarters, we can say there are more Mahayana, so much Mahayana monks, but there are still Theravada monks even in those countries, mostly in mainland China, and then Taiwan, and then Korea, Japan, and those countries, basically, and Hong Kong, and some other countries too. They have Mahayana Buddhism, and Tibetan Buddhism is basically around those Tibet and other countries. Now they have also expanded to everywhere. Tibetan Buddhism actually came to West, and they have much established here, very well established here in the West as well. So Tibetan Buddhism has also contributed greatly to the propagation of Buddha Dhamma. We see that we have seen all of these, and we have associated with all these Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana, all monks, and we have worked together. We have coexisted with them. We have great respect for all of them. So I think what is more important is it's like the two wings of the same bird. So we have to fly using both wings. They all have great commitment to the Buddha Dhamma. They do have different opinions sometimes, but mostly they have loving kindness and compassion and generosity. I think those are really, really major teachings. And then some of the Theravada schools, they are also very committed to Vinaya, and then also Sutta, and then Abhidhamma. So there were differences, but still, I think it is really, really important to learn from each other, and we can actually see many developments, contributions from all these wonderful schools of Buddhism. So personally, for me, I'm a Theravada Buddhist monk, and still I have great respect for the Mahayana Buddhism and also Vajrayana Buddhism. Okay. All right. We talked a lot about that. And we have another question from Jojo. Can you review what you are technically doing in the jhanas? Focus and sustained attention, going to the second level, etc. So Jojo, for this technical thing, I think it will be very helpful if we can go through Abhidhammatta Sangaha and Visuddhimagga. They give perfect explanations to all these teachings, jhanas. But let me say, let us say we start with some kind of there are 40 meditation methods in Visuddhimagga. Let us say we use Anapanasati, the breath meditation. Okay, so we start with the breath as the primary object of meditation, and then we continue to practice. And what happens here, we have the object of meditation as the breath. So breath we cannot really see. It's we can see, we can touch it, but we can feel it. And then when you close your eyes, and you really have to be really still when you practice breath meditation. It's not like other meditations. Really, you have to be very still. And when you do that, you can come to a status there where you can actually see, you can visually imagine the flow, in and out flow of the breath. And you can see it, you can feel it. And it's like something like a cloud or something. Sometimes it's like different sensation, like something like scratching or something. You can feel it. That means you, when you are really still, you can see that. And when that happens, your meditation is actually in a good progressive status. And then you continue to practice, and there will be a lot of distractions on the way, lights or sounds or different mind diversions or distractions can be there, but you continue to focus on your breath. And then you can be really stick to this breath flow. Some of those PAUK meditation teachers, for example, they focus completely on the nostril, and the Mahasi method is focusing on the abdomen, the belly movement. And so what happens here, when you focus on this, you continue to focus on, let's say, like the nostril, and you can really see the colors, cloud, or even the light. You need to see that, and there cannot be break in between. And so if you can do it, your samadhi or concentration can improve further. So it is said upachara samadhi and arpana samadhi, and then eventually you can come to the jhanas. And there are technical things how we go into the first jhana. For example, we need to focus more and look into ourselves and see we don't have those hindrances, the 5 hindrances, like what we call Kamachanda, Vyapada, Thinamidda, Uddhacha Kucha, Vichikicha. So Kamachanda is the sensual pleasures or sensual gratification. It doesn't occur to you when you are in deep samadhi, like in the first jhana. And then Kamachanda, Vyapada is like you will have no ill will, no anger, nothing when you are in that status of complete stillness, complete samadhi. And then Kamachanda Vyapada Thinamidha is like sloth and torpor, like a bodily or mental lethargy is not happening to you when you are in deep samadhi. You can sit for hours and hours It is said like if you want to achieve the jhanas, at least you need to sit, you should be able to sit continuously for 1.5 hours at least. Then you can feel the difference of your meditational progress. For example, if you sit only 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, 45 minutes, if you sit that way, you can see the difference too. You can feel the difference in those different durations. And if you sit like 1 hour or more, your samadhi will definitely be in a different realm. So if you can sit more longer, and you can completely focus on your I'm talking about only one meditation object. There are more, like breath only and nothing else. You kind of fixated into that, then you can also attain the first jhana. There you don't have, again, sloth and torpor, thina midda. Uddhacha kukkucha is the restlessness and remorse is not happening within you. You can check within you if you have that restlessness. You are complete still. You are not restless. You don't panic. You become very calm, and your inner peace is so much stronger when you are in the first jhana. And remorse is another thing, like uddhacha kukkucha. And then vichikicha is the doubts. Oh, different types of different kinds of doubts can be there within us when we practice. So when you are clear with those things, that means your path is clear to you, crystal clear to you, and then it's much easier. Remember, during this first jhana, we also have vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata as the jhanic factors. Vitakka, I think, as applied, applied thought, and sustained thought. Like when you apply the meditation object to the breath, that is called vitakka. And if you can continue to sustain during within that meditation object, that is called vichara, sustain attention. And so vitakka, vichara, piti, then when you keep practicing, you will find piti, that is the rapture, a, a kind of an unprecedented happiness, joy will be there within you, piti. Sukha is that kind of comfort that you find when you are in that jhanic state. It should be unprecedented. You will never ever find such a wonderful comfort, sukha, as you are in the jhanic state. So piti, sukha, and then the ekaggata, the unification of mind. So you are able to completely fully focus on this. And also it is related to equanimity. So you will not be shaken. Your mind will not be shaken during that time. So this jhana, for example, first jhana itself can be fractional. At the beginning, it could be a fractional experience, and then you continue to practice. And then there are a few more technical things that you need to improve, like uh, like you should be able to control, you should be able to monitor the duration. Okay, I'm going to go to the first jhana right now, or during this time, and then I'm going to stay in the jhana during this time, or let's say like 1 hour I'm going to completely be in the first jhana. You can determine yourself. So utthana, pariyutthana, and then aditthana, these are like also part of the controlling power. You have more controlling power when you can practice more. And then you can say, I'm going to wake up from the jhana after 1 hour, or after 2 hours, 3 hours, depends on how you do it. And then this jhana vasita, what we call that ability to have that controlling power is also very important later on. And then when you are into these 5 factors, and then you can actually even go further and attain the second jhana. And during that second jhanic stage, you will have less and less hindrances. And during that time, it is said vitakka vichara will be gone. Vitakka vichara will be gone. It will not be necessary anymore in the second jhana. And in the third jhana, that is actually vitakka vichara is applied thought and sustained thought, or applied attention or sustained attention. That will not be there in the second jhana. And then in the third jhana, even the piti, vitakka vichara piti, that rapture will also not be there. So sometimes obhasa, piti, pasadhi, like the light and the rapture and even the tranquility, what we feel like completely different experience. So you might think, oh, I have attained nibbana or something, like some of those distractions can be there. So we have to be still very focused and conform with our practice. Then you keep doing it, and you will be able to come out of that. And when you are into the third jhana, rapture will be gone. When you are into the fourth jhana, the sukha also will be gone. Only upekka ekagata, equanimity and unification will be there in the fourth jhana. They are very powerful stages, and maybe once in a lifetime we could have experienced these. And some of them actually, even today, there are many wonderful practitioners who are able to go into these jhanas very quickly and very easily. And for this, you can't have many distractions. If you want to practice jhana, you need really very undistracted situations. You can't really talk much. You can really encounter with many other people or something. You have to be completely isolated mostly if you want to practice jhana. Yeah. All right. I hope I tried my best and hope it was helpful, Jojo. And for further information, please read Visuddhimagga and Abhidhammatta Sangha. And there are other suttas too. Anyway, you can also find more information. Okay. Okay, we have another question from Bhavani. In the description of the Arahanta, what is meant by done what has to be done? Okay, that means katang karaniyam. So na parang itattai. That means done what had to be done, nothing more to be done. So that means the practitioner has nothing more to be done. He or she has completed the spiritual journey, completely attained the final liberation. There will be no more to be done as a spiritual practitioner. That is the idea. Many suttas have ended up with this beautiful, powerful statement by so many, and they all say, many of them have said like they have felt like they have completely transformed, and because of the realization, and they say like at the beginning it was like this, and earlier it was like this for them, so they were upside down, and the Buddha had made it the right way. And then they also said the andhakareva telapajyo tandharaya, when we were in the darkness, the Buddha showed us the way with the light, with the torch, with the flash. And chakkumanto rupani dissan. So like earlier we couldn't see anything with our eyes. Now we could see things very clearly. And so yeah, then also actually I remember when in my dissertation I have mentioned about this. My dissertation is also about the Arahanta, philosophy of Arahanta ideal as depicted in Mahanidesa. So I have discussed more, and I also have a good news to share with you all, that the dissertation will be published already, I think, in the process of publishing in ProQuest. So sooner you will be able to read that dissertation thesis. So there are 4 different types of statements in the Tipitaka regarding the Arahantahood, state of Arahantahood. And very interesting how to get rid of those defilements, and then different kinds of achievements and accomplishments in the spiritual realm is explained in the Tipitaka. So yeah, so what is important actually is to apply the Dhamma in our day-to-day life, and also to realize whether we are having some kind of a defilement. So precisely, I think today's discussion was wonderful. I like this question also. It's like the final final conclusion. So started with Jhāna and ended up with Arahanta. So what happens here? The Buddha said in precisely the quintessential essence of the Buddha Dhamma is explained when the Buddha said, Sabba papa sakaranam. We have to stop doing all kinds of unwholesome things. So we need to know if I am doing anything, any defilement, do I have any defilement within me? We need to recognize it. We need to know it. I think that will be very helpful. Like sometimes even in our mind, sometimes through verbal activities, through mental activities, through bodily activities, do we perform any kind of defilement? We need to be mindful about that. We need to recognize that. Sabba papasa akarana. So not to do any of those evil things, any of those mistakes, and recognizing it, accepting it, will be very, very helpful to you and I. And then kusala upasampada, practice more and more, cultivate more and more, develop more and more wholesome deeds. So every time, like being nice and being kind and being generous, and not to be harmful to anyone, not to hurt anyone, to avoid all kinds of wrong things, and to practice all the wholesome things. This is really, really the essence. And then the final one is the sachitta pariyodapanang. So you have to purify your mind. So not to do all the wrong things, and to do the right thing, to do all the right things, and then also to purify our mind. Etang Buddhana Sasanang, that is the teaching of all the Buddhas. So all the Buddhas in the world, in the past or in the present or in the future, they will teach these things. not to do anything wrong, to do all the right things, and to purify our mind. This will be the anusasana, the teaching of all the Buddhas. So, so I would say to do good and to be good. That will be even more precise if you want to think. So let us try to be good and to do good in our life. Jobu, all this falls into refrain and restrain and meditate on the aggregate. Yeah, it could also be more technical if you think of it, like virati. Virati is to refrain, and then sangvara is the like practicing these things, like the faculty, taking care of our faculties or aggregates. They are very helpful too. So yeah, I think we all need to focus on this, the Dhamma. So the Sila Samadhi Panya, this progress will be very helpful to us. When we bodily and verbally restrain ourselves and practice ourselves not to commit any wrong things, and also by practicing good things, then we can actually do many things. For example, let us say, like, the first precept is Panatipata Veramani, right? Panatipata Veramani is refrain from killing, refrain from harming anyone, refrain from hurting anyone. And so that is physical. And then the other thing, you yourself have to avoid, and then you have to also practice loving kindness, right? You have to practice loving kindness. Plus, we should also help other people in the family, our friends. We also have to, if some of our family members or friends or relatives or anyone who is doing this hurting or harming anyone, we have to also avoid them. So this virati, papa nivareti kalyane niveseti. There are two things. One, to avoid from evil, and then kalyane niveseti is to invest or develop those good things. Kalyana is the good thing. So we have to work towards that. So these are two things in the same coin. And then same thing with the adinadana, stealing, and then kama michachara, the sexual misconduct, and then musavada, the forced speech. And there are 4 different kinds of verbal activities that we have to be careful about. And then also the 5th sila, the Suramere Majjapamadatthana, the drinks and drugs that cause intoxication or heedlessness. So we have to avoid that. And then we can even go further to 8 precepts or 10 precepts. And then if you are a monk, you can also practice 227 precepts. If you are a nun, you can practice 311 precepts. These are all part of the sila. This sila is the very foundation of our spiritual journey. And then when you are verbally and bodily restrained yourself, then your mindset is easier to focus. Then samadhi is easier for you. When you are bodily and verbally restrained, you can really practice. You can completely be in samadhi, concentration. And that really helps us. Sometimes when we meditate, the meditation doesn't work, and you need to go back to your sila. Did I break any sila? Did I do something wrong? And you have to rectify that mistake, correct that mistake. Then you should be able to go back to the meditation, practice better, and your samadhi will be much better. And then when we are in the samadhi level, When we achieve good samadhi, then our restlessness will be gone and we will be able to actually see the true reality of the elements, for example. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air element, we can see them very clearly within us, internally, Adhyatika, and externally, Bahira. We can see in both ways, and then it is easier for us to gain wisdom, Panya. So without Sila, Samadhi is almost impossible. And without Samadhi, Panya is not possible. So Sila, Samadhi, Panya are three progressive spiritual paths we all need to know, we need to be aware of, and we need to practice. And hopefully that will be also very helpful to you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We have another question from Yaku Zamun. Bhante, how can we apply Buddha's teaching in our daily lives with mindfulness and prepare to face the death? So I think practicing daily Buddha's teaching, I think it should be theory and then application. These are two different things. You might know the Dhamma, you might know the theory, but if you don't know how to apply that, there will be a big difference, big gap. So I think we need to know that. That is the art of living. That is the skill that we all need to know. So little things, even though the Dhamma we know a little bit, we don't know so much Abhidhamma or very profound doctrinal materials. If you don't know, don't worry, it's okay. Just focus on yourself and see your ups and downs. You should be able to look into yourself, and whether you get angry, whether you get upset, whether you get fear, whether you get greedy, you can see if you have these things. You have to know how to cope up with these things, and then you should be able to get rid of it. I think my my advice, whenever you have anger, you should identify that right there, right now, right here, right now. If you have greed, you should be able to identify it right here, right now. So maybe momentary meditation, or what we call kanika samadhi, can be very helpful to you. Okay, so you should practice these things. That way our teaching will not be so far away from real time practice. Let's say you get angry, so close your eyes, take a good long deep breath, and then look into yourself and read your mind, read your body, and you can coordinate the mind and the body, and that will be helpful. Okay. And whenever you have like sadness, sorrow, anger, greed, anything, lust, fear, all these things, when you have, I think just close your eyes and read your mind and coordinate with your body, what part of the body is affected. So that kaya gata sati, mindfulness immersed in the body, that can be very helpful. Okay, so I think mindfulness is the key. Mindfulness is our security guard. So you need to continuously practice with your mindfulness. Be alert, be mindful. If something happens, you should know. Or first of all, the bodily signs you need to know. Bodily signs are changing over time due to many different emotions. So you should know whether I have some sensations over here or here. Sometimes your sensitive areas like here, the brain And the ears are very sensitive. This part of the brain and the ears, and then the heart area, hadayavatu, also basically due to many emotional stuff, you will have some sensations over there. Apart from that, if you have diabetes, your blood sugar will go up. If you have backache, the backache will increase. And if you have cholesterol, the cholesterol will increase when you have those emotional attacks. So we need to recognize these bodily changes. Then it will be easier. So you need to focus on that and try to calm down, and also see those, analyze those elements, and then be kind to yourself, and also practice loving kindness to yourself and to others. Continuously, when you practice, you should be able to do much better. I'm sure you will be able to improve your life. Facing death, death is just another moment only. Because actually speaking, we die every moment. Right now, how many times I died? Every single time my cells, millions of cells are, dying and dying, and born, dying. It happens. And then we see it, like when the bodily hair grows, we can see that. But it actually happens all the time that we don't see it. And then the death is just another moment only. Like every night when we go to bed, when you wake up in the morning, it's like 7-8 hours. We were like in a temporary death. We don't know what happened. We don't remember anything. So death is just an experience. We need to see that. If you want to see it like in your day-to-day life, look at the sunrise. Every morning you see the sunrise, and every night you see the sunset. The light comes and the light goes. And then every night you sleep, every morning you wake up. It's like death and birth, right? So when you offer flowers, when you offer incense to the Buddha, we see the impermanence, death and birth and death. We need to see that. The candle light, it starts and survives, stays there for a while, and then goes. So that is like the birth and the death. So I think if we try to see the death within ourselves and also outside, you continue to be mindful about that. And so death is just another moment. And then you don't have to really, really worry or panic about death. And how many times we have died in the samsara? How many times? Thousands and thousands of times. We have cried so much over the death of our parents, our husband, wives, and our siblings, our friends, relatives, teachers, elders. How many times we have cried? In Asusutta, Buddha says the tears that we have shed were much more than the great ocean, and we still are scared of death. So I think if you continue to think of these things, the death will not be so much um, painful to you. And what is more important, even at the time of death, you should be able to calm down. You should be able to focus on your breath. It's okay. Like, for example, when you are sick, people panic. A lot of people panic when they are sick. So focus on yourself. It's okay. It's also part of my life. And everyone suffers. Everyone has this. So you can really see that, general application. Not only me, everyone dies. Not only me, everyone gets sick. So it's okay. So you need to see like, it's okay. And I am okay. And so continue to practice, and also practicing loving kindness. Send loving kindness to yourself and send loving kindness to others. keep practicing and focus on your breath and be mindful about your bodily and emotional changes, and then you should be able to maintain your inner peace even at the time of death. All right. Okay. With that, I think I would like to conclude today's session. And thank you everyone for joining us today, and looking forward to seeing you with another session in the coming week. So may you all be well, happy, healthy. Sukhi Digha Yuko Bhava.